Everything is personal right here. Everything is personal right here.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of Everything is Personal. And today we have a special guest with us, Tomer Peretz. How you doing? Um,
Well, oh, yeah.
so I wanted to ask you, what's your earliest memory of art in general?
First memory of art.
Yeah.
Wow, I have few actually. I have few. Um, uh, in my neighborhood, was a lot of different graffiti artists, and I remember, it was a lot of tagging, not necessarily something artistic. But then when I was 13, I was already kind of drawing a little bit, and then we went to a trip in Europe, like a family trip in Europe. And I remember going by that, like in the underground train in London. It was full of graffiti all around, and I fell in love with this. Like it was a lot all over. It was back in the beginning of the 90s, and it was the first time that I see such a big amount of graffiti and street art. Well, I translate that to a street art right away, and I think, and when I got back, I decided that I want to do graffiti as well. And graffiti was the first thing I started on doing publicly, like on the streets, besides just drawing for myself.
So let's go back and say, where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Jerusalem, in Israel. Was born in 1982. I was growing up in the 80s and 90s,
Yeah.
Jerusalem.
So what was your family life like? Were your parents together? Do you have siblings?
Very ordinary family. My father is yeah, they're still together. My parents, my older brother is married also. My sister's still married. All of them have kids. My father was working in a bank for 40 years and was an athlete as well. He was a tennis player as well. So art was not part of the deal there.
That's what I was going to say. You didn't really grow up in an artistic household. When you were a kid, would you be drawn to like doodling and art, or were you into sports? Like, what kind of kid were you growing up?
I was the hood kid, I was spending most of the time in the streets, playing soccer and doing what kids used to do in the 90s on the streets of Jerusalem. I was also growing up in between two very radical Muslim villages, so I learned the culture very deeply as a kid, and that was part of my childhood. But art was not in my surrounding. No one around me, like even the word artist, never heard that word before. And when I was doodling and drawing, it was just for myself, not just not to show. I didn't even show it to people most of the time.
I'm just based on I'm a little bit older than you, at least like 10 years or so, but I grew up in the 80s, and I was part of the hip hop culture. That was really, really big for me. When you're bringing up, graffiti art, I saw the movie called Beat Street. And I'm from Philly, and I used to go to New York all the time. And man, as you're talking about the graffiti, the tagging, and the beautiful art on a new train. And that movie made me take out a cardboard and get a boombox and try to break dance with my friends and all that other stuff. How was there an influence on this hip hop culture to what you were doing in art in
Yeah, I was
Jerusalem?
not really into the hip hop culture,
Mhm.
just the actual visual aspect of the artwork. I
Mhm.
was growing up into the electronica culture actually in my surrounding.
Yeah, more of like electronic dance music kind of stuff, right?
Back then, but I was drawn to the visual of it. Like I didn't even care who did this. I was all about what is it and how do they get to such a big lettering and different type of lettering and typography, and they used to graffiti on a very like high buildings and how did they get there. Like I was very focused on how they did this, and I
Yeah.
was trying to be like that as a kid.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, and we'll get into your art now, but it makes sense that it's street art and trying to figure out how to make the most impact and put your tags in the most visual place that definitely resonates. So first of all, I want to ask you, how old were you when you got your first tattoo?
I got one when I was 15, 16,
So
but
I'm curious in that I'm sorry to cut you off for a second because the first time I went to Israel, I think I only had one tattoo at the time, and I was probably the 16 or whatever it is. And I was so nervous because I was told all my life, like Jewish people, you can't get tattoos and all that stuff. And I remember I went to a lot and I think I had a tattoo on my back and, you shirt off. And I met my cousin who I had never met before who lived in Israel and he had a tattoo on his shoulder too. And I was like, yes, people in Israel have tattoos also. So it was surprising to me.
yeah, yeah, but I didn't get another tattoo up until the age of I think what was it, 29 or so. And I started to fill up my body with a bunch of tattoos at the age of 29, 30.
Yeah. So obviously, like living in Israel, and you have to do military service. So you joined the military after you were done with school.
Yeah, I did join the military at the age of 18.
Uh, and what did you do in the military?
It was ground forces as a soldier, and then I was an officer responsible for over 25 soldiers for over 2 years. I served in total almost 5 years.
What was that experience like in terms of the things that you've seen, the action that you experienced, and your relationship to, the neighbors, the neighboring countries, and the people who are creating the or quote unquote aggressors, or however you would quantify that.
So I knew what's going on as a kid already. I was growing up into this conflict. I joined the military because I wanted to be ground forces. I wanted to serve in that specific unit. It's called Golani. I joined Sayeret Golani at the beginning, and then I moved to Gdud 13, which is the 13th Brigade of Golani as an officer as well. And that nothing really surprised me at the military. I was fighting at the Second Intifada. Second Intifada was super brutal. People are yelling to the street, Intifada, Intifada. They don't even understand what they're talking about, right? Yeah. So I was fighting during the Second Intifada from the beginning of it until the end of it, all over the West Bank, Gaza, Lebanon. That was all over. I was almost 2 years just in Gaza. So now when everybody hear about what's going on in Gaza, there are some streets in Gaza that I know, like I remember, like, in my heart, like very accurately. So I was not surprised by anything. I knew who I'm gonna fight with, and I knew the culture very, very well.
So after the military, a lot of Israelis that I know take a trip. Like some of them go to Goa and some of them backpack around Europe. Did you have an experience like that after the military?
Yeah, I traveled in South America for a long time.
How was that experience for you?
Amazing experience. Now, it was amazing, and it's actually opened a whole new world for me. So during that trip to South America, I realized that I didn't want to go back to Israel. Then.
Were you doing any art? Did you start doing any art while you were traveling?
Yeah, I did street art. I painted in different hotels I was staying in. I was just offering to paint something on the walls, and I started to paint in Argentina, and then some in Colombia. That's how I kind of got back to art, because during the military time I didn't draw at all.
Right.
So that's how I got back to art after the military.
Did the culture of South America, did that influence any of the art that you were doing at the time?
No, not much, because I was very, very low a little bit, because I was painting a lot of Che Guevara and stuff like that, Maradona, different known people by that Latin culture, but uh, not that much. It didn't really affect me that much back then. I was all about creating about my military service. I was waiting to settle at a certain point in my trip to settle up to create about my military. The military was still in my mind a lot. Everywhere I was going, I was thinking about my time in the military.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I wanted to unpack a little bit, because and I did not participate in the military, so I don't know. This is just from conversations that I had with friends, family, other people that I know. When you go through that conflict, like there's a and my friends were in the Afghani and the and Iraqi conflicts, all that kind of stuff, and I work with a lot of veterans as well. So there's an impact, there's a mental impact on that, and you need to sort of disconnect from that in a way. And lots of people disconnect in different ways. Like some of them go in psychedelic journeys, some of them get into music, some of them get into art. So as you were traveling, was that part of the trying to rehabilitate from, the pressure and the atrocities and all the other things that you've witnessed during your service?
Totally, totally. It was completely to get disconnect, to maybe live a different life, um, to see maybe a different places with people that live in peace with themselves and with their neighbors, and they don't have to protect their homes on a daily basis. So the idea was to completely disconnect and see a different world.
When you're going through that and you have this sort of juxtaposition of, military service being on and all the things that you witnessed, and then trying to disconnect and reconnect with yourself, does that impact relationships that you have? Like, can you have relationships with people, friendships, or like other relationships with anyone, or does it take some time to try to kind of, go through a healing journey first?
Um, of course, it affects different relationships with people, because you see different, you see things different, and sometimes you don't want to be part of different conversations that are happening around you. So it is a fact. I think it's affecting every aspect in your life. The way you make decisions, the way you want to meet people, the places you choose to travel, the things you choose to create, the people you choose to create with, or the people you choose to work with. It's a fact. It is affecting every aspect in your life, not just relationships.
How did you decide to move to the US?
Um, I was supposed to continue to the east side of the world, which was India back then, and I wanted to go to India, but I didn't have any more money, so I wanted to go to spend some time with my uncle, and work with him for a bit, and maybe save some money. But as soon as I arrived, to the state, I decided that I don't want to continue on traveling at the moment. I want to get settled and create and do some art, and focus on this, and that's what I did.
So, I know you talked about this a lot of different times in different interviews and the stuff you did, but uh, as you went through your own personal journey of trying to disconnect and rehabilitate from, what you've gone through, and you're now doing art and all that stuff, and October 7th happens. Well, how did that personally impact you at the time that you realized what was happening?
Um, you know, I don't remember feelings. I don't remember what I felt. But I do remember my decisions where something is really crazy going on, and I'm not doing reserves, meaning I can't do reserves, and all of my friends went on uniform and went on down south or went to reserve right away in a few hours, and I felt very useless at that moment. I was in Israel, just visiting with my two kids, and I just felt that I gotta do something. I started to text almost every person I know that, hey, how can I help? How can I help? I want to go. I want to put a uniform on me. I want to go back to the military, even if it's 20 years later. But the first people who got back to me were the people who picked me up the day after.
And who are those people, and what did you end up doing?
Those were Zaka volunteers. These people are volunteers for Zaka for many years.
What's Zaka, for those that don't know what it
So
is?
Zaka is a nonprofit organization that specializes with evacuating, rescuing, and recovering dead bodies, bringing them to a respectful burial. So these are the people that in terrorist attacks are scrapping body parts from walls and picking up ashes from the floor and bringing that back to a respectful Jewish burial. And I knew these organizations since I was a kid. I was growing up to those terrorist attacks on a weekly basis around my neighborhood, around my city. So, and I was part, like I saw a terrorist attack. I saw seconds after a bus that was blowing in Jerusalem. So I was very familiar with what Zaka are doing. And I knew that it's a very rough decision, but I had no idea what I'm going to do. I thought, am I going to be outside just helping, just driving the vehicle, maybe just, but I had no idea that I will go all the way in.
So when you actually went and started seeing this, I mean, I saw some of the footage. Firstly, you decided to document that, which was an impulse decision from you, and I want to kind of understand your thought process behind that. And then, as you're documenting and you're talking about this, and I don't know, maybe it doesn't resonate emotionally with you as you're going through the process, but what was the process you were going through as you're in the thick of, this cleanup? I don't know how else to put it.
Well, the first mission was the team I was assigned to, and the guys who picked me up. The first mission was to go to the Nova festival site and pick up, if there is other Jewish dead bodies, to pick them up, and to pick up the stretchers, the medical stretchers, in order to go to Kibbutz Be'eri and clear up dead bodies over there. So when we arrived to the Nova festival site, that was the first shock. I mostly saw it was right after Zaka cleared out all of them already from that specific side I was in. So we picked up the stretchers. That was the first time I saw a bunch of different dead bodies of terrorists, actually, that were waiting for other teams to be picked up. The Jewish dead bodies were recovered same morning already, and then we picked up the stretchers and we went to Kibbutz Be'eri. And when we got into Kibbutz Be'eri with the stretchers, we were one of the first team who got into that area before everything was cleared up. And I don't remember how I felt, but the entire village, you can consider as village kibbutz, right, was just dead bodies all over. Everywhere you go, you see dead bodies inside the cars, falling out of the cars, in the patios, and in the park, on the bushes, just all over dead bodies. I think it was I don't know how I felt, but I think it was the first time that I realized how crazy it was, and that's when I started to document and share everything right away.
So my daughter goes to Berkeley University, and it's so interesting to me to watch, these universities and, UCLA and Berkeley and these encampments, and the amount of denial that's coming out of these kids who are saying this didn't happen, this is all hoax, even after seeing, recordings you did, but they did themselves and projected. What do you make of this disconnect? And I know that there's a lot of brainwashing and all that stuff that goes on, but if you see this with your own eyes and you're still denying something, what are your thoughts on that? How do you even justify that?
You know, the world is upside down. Something is much deeper and crazy going on that we cannot even understand, all of us. And part of it is all this denial. It's like, these, I always say that this denial is some kind of a hate. It's not really a denial, because if you're gonna show them my footage, they will say I'm lying. If I'll give them, a better photo, a better video, they will say it's an AI or a Photoshop, whatever. If I will bring the dead body all the way to them inside the bag, they will say, oh, the bag is like a stuffed animal. If you get the body out, they will say, oh, you killed them, not us, like the IDF killed them. So, whatever you're gonna do, look, I'm not dealing with the facts. I'm not, we'll get to it later, but I'm not really focused on convincing people of what I see, what I saw. Not anymore. Maybe in the first few days, I wanted people to see it, but now it's completely not my focus. I think these people, the denial, something else is very deeply make them deny something that is so crazy and so brutal. So not really focused on this anymore. Who's denying? Who's not there anymore? But it's nerve-wracking. Let's put it
Yeah.
that way. Like, really
Yeah.
weird.
It's deep
Beyond weird.
rooted. Yeah, it's deep rooted, hatred that comes from somewhere and gets reinforced over and over. That you are going to deny facts, and we're in a world where we deny facts every single day, uh, no matter what we see. But I definitely concur with you on that. I don't even know how to ask this question, so I'm just going to go off the top. Like, how did your life change after what you witnessed and after you were the volunteer and Saka? How did it impact your life?
It's impact everything I do, family, kids, wife. It's impact everything in my life, and it's still impacting. It's all I do now. This war is it became everything I do. All of my creation is about this war. I got into a very um, big depression when I got back to LA. I got into mania depression. A lot of triggers. It triggered a lot of my PTSD that I already have from the military. It triggered a lot. I had triggers in a maybe in 3 months after I got back on hourly basis. I had a lot of flashbacks, a lot of illusions, no sleeping at nights. But then I tried to work on it in different ways, and the only thing that worked out for me was working with groups and that are having the same stories as I have, same experiences I had, and create with them. That's and it's all I do right now. I still do that. I still create with groups and create about this war, and that's the only thing I can do, and that's the only thing that helps me to get out of bed.
When you, if I remember correctly, when the music stopped, the installation that you did or I don't know how you describe it. That's sort of what came to mind. You recreated sort of what what you saw or what was the impact of Nova and all that stuff. How did you actually come up with that concept, which I think is, let me back up. I'll say from me visually not being there, having an emotional connection to that, by you recreating something like that, there's a visceral feeling for me and for people I talk to. It's not just seeing, but there's a connection to it right then and there. So I want to just commend you that actually resonates, not just as you're looking at a painting, but you're actually feeling like I got a visceral reaction from that. How did you come up with that concept on actually to recreate that?
No, it was when I got back from Israel. It was October 14. I got into a very big depression. Didn't want to leave my room for a very long time, and the only thing I could think about is how can I get back to to normal, to life. And the idea was to create some kind of an art installation out of my bed. So I was out of bed. I was with my phone and texting a bunch of different producers that I want to create something. I need help. And without those producers, I couldn't make it because I was the visionary. And they really did it all. Like they brought a lot of volunteers, and um, this work, this live art installation was what got me out of my house.
Yeah.
And then I created another one and another one. So this creation and this goal to show how things like that can look like, just a visual of it, not necessarily exactly how does it look like, but I wanted to show how hundreds of people, when they're all dying on the floor, how does it look like? How does it feel if you just enter that kind of a site? And that's what I did. We brought 1,000 volunteers, and we put them in makeup and the whole thing. And again, it was a work out of bed with a bunch of producers who helped me to make it happen. And by wanting so much to show it and get it out of me and see it myself again, it was the only thing that made me get back to myself.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of giving and receiving at the same time. The more you make a contribution to the universe then comes back and, gives it back to you. And there's a cycle of energy. And hopefully that energy is a high vibrational energy that lifts, because even though, we can say it's morbid in a way, but there's a visceral reaction from that, which then raises everybody's awareness, consciousness, hopefully, and it comes back tenfold. So you're actually contributing light in the universe by doing that, and I'm sure it comes back to you as well. I mean, I love that kind of stuff. It's an incredible thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When I create, I don't really think about results too much. Then it's just messing up with my head. I just think about what I want to say and what I want to get out of me, and whatever is doing, it's doing. When I got it out of me, I feel like it's not belong to me anymore.
Yeah.
I did it, I made it. If I like it, I like it. If not, sometimes I don't like what I create, but then it's not belong to me anymore. It belongs to the people. So.
Did you take a public personal stance, being open and in your support of, I actually don't know about your support of Israel, so we can talk about that too. But just being a public, and I don't even know if you consider yourself an activist through art or anything that you can define that. But taking this public stance in this way, did it actually affect your business, or did you start getting hate and all these and losing opportunities because of that?
Absolutely. Right away when I got back to LA, I yeah, I got dropped from a bunch of different places, and a lot of business associates started to not started, just stopped the communication with me. Um, yeah, some people that were responsible for my income just ditched, left, and stopped even answering. So that was part of the sadness I got into. Yeah,
Was that a surprising thing for you? Like, did you ever consider for a minute that you would go document one of the most horrific atrocities, participate in that, just speak truth, and then come back and all of a
very,
sudden, receive
very,
that?
very, very. I was very surprised. Like, what are you guys talking about? And but now looking back, I guess I'm happy it happened. I have no regrets. So a lot of true faces showed up themselves.
Oh yeah.
They pulled out their masks. So I guess that what was supposed to happen. So, but back then, yeah, I was very, very disappointed, very upset. It got me into like, what am I gonna do now? But instead of backing up, I decided to go in all the way and
Yeah, all in.
all
You
in.
went all in. Yeah. No, I felt the same way, and nowhere near to your level of impact, but it was shocking the amount of hate that I was receiving, and I think people weren't aware that I was Jewish to begin with, because it's not something you lead with every day. We don't all, we hide our horns really well so people don't see them in everyday lives. But I was really surprised on the amount of hate that I received, even in the industry that I'm in, from people I never expected. And I agree with you 100% that these kind of things help people remove their masks. So it makes it much clearer, sort of where they stand. And it's probably for the best not to interact with them to begin with. So I'm grateful for that too. Uh, I wanted to kind of shift gears a little bit in terms of some of the progression of the art that you're doing. You got into the NFT space fairly early. How did you even get involved with that? Because people are like, I don't even understand what it is. What do you mean? You get a digital piece of art? How do you even monetize all of that? But the interesting thing is, I went to this event in LA where there was an NFT event, and they did an auction for an NFT, or and it was like $1 million and all that. I was like, well, somebody's making money off this thing, but I don't really understand how it works.
Look, I got drawn to it through the technology. I really like the fact of decentralized and a different world of where you can create, and there's a different communities. And I like the fact of in the NFT world, there was a lot of collaborations, and I come from a world where there is not a lot of collaboration. And I do like to work with people. I like to work with different artists. But as a painter, most painters and were that I having the same market as I have, and we're they there is no collaboration. It's a very solo kind of a vibe, life. But NFT, what draw to me was the collaborations of it. And so I did created different collections with different teams and different projects, and I'm super happy about that. It worked amazing. I had a great experience. But then when I saw that things are starting to get slowed down, and the market start to be super weird. I'm like, I don't. I'm back.
Yeah.
I'm back in the game. But not in a decision. It just happened. Started to get slowed down, and I still use some of this technology up until today. By the way, for certain things I create. But I don't play with the crypto thing too much. I stayed traditional. By the way, I'm not a digital artist also. So even my creation was all traditional that turned into a digital, and that's how I sold it. So I made a few of those. It was I had a great roles. You know, it was great. I think I really like innovations, when I see new things coming out, and I like to try new things. I like to experience new things. I don't make myself always, trying to be in a comfort side. I always trying to skip away and get out of my comfort zone and, um, do new things. So that was part of those experiences, to get out of my comfort zone and to try to try different technology and different innovations.
Is that sort of your progression into fashion as well? Getting out of
Yeah,
your comfort zone, or did you have an interest in fashion before?
never thought I would create fashion. It was not my thing, but that's how I started to create fashion, because in every NFT event and stuff like that, I used to sell merch, right?
Okay.
I
Yeah.
was always, checking those merch, and I'm like, this is crap. Like, all these merch that all these people are making are horrible.
Mhm.
The quality, the design, the colors, like, it's off completely, in my opinion.
Mhm.
And I just decided to bring something super cool to that world, and it worked so good, because that world is not stupid. They could tell that things that I brought up was that I made was super quality and very cool, and it was really good. I had a really good time with the merch I came up with, and from a merch, it started to be as a fashion collections. And then I incorporated different chips inside my clothing that you can scan and stuff like that. I think I was one of the first people who planted chips inside the clothing that you can scan with your phone, not a QR code, like a chip that you
Yeah.
just put your phone next to it, and things coming up on your phone, and you can buy and sell the garment through crypto and stuff like. It's not even happening now in a bunch of different clothing stores. I don't even know why they don't use it, but um, it was working amazing for me, and I kept on doing this. By the way, up until October 7th.
Mhm.
Like, my last collection was a month before October 7th, and that collection called War is Over. So I came out with military jackets with a chip inside that integrated with an NFT, and you can buy and sell it on crypto. And I called that collection War is Over.
Well,
And then October 7th happened. So obviously I stopped on doing this, and I started to do completely different things. But I didn't call it War is Over anymore, because war just started, I guess.
well, maybe there's room for a new collection to get people motivated
Yeah, I
uh,
guess so.
in trying to create some level of peace and peace of mind too.
Yeah,
Getting, do you have a daily like wellness practice that you follow? Do you do anything on a daily basis, like
nothing,
meditation, anything of that?
nothing. I don't, I used to meditate. It's a funny story, but I don't meditate anymore. My meditation is a little bit different. I paint. So when I paint, sometimes everything's completely silent. I don't even sometimes listen to music. I just think about nothing when I paint. And that's some kind of a mild mindfulness for me. I even put the phone aside for a few hours. I'm just zone. This is my meditation. I don't uh I don't have any wellness practice. The only wellness practice I have is my mindset.
Yeah.
Working on myself in my studio, in my mindset and my art. I don't even have hobbies. I don't do anything beside art.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have family too, so that gets you some
Yeah,
kind
beside
of love. Yeah.
like kids, wife, and art, it's nothing. There's
Yeah,
nothing.
I know what you mean. So when I used to paint in the studio, I have ADD, and my audience knows this. I was diagnosed when I was a kid and all that stuff. But so there's a depletion of dopamine, but when that dopamine is squirting, you lose track of time. And you're right about the meditation. It's a mindfulness practice because you're hyper focused without actually understanding you're focusing, but you're creating. And I remember the guy that owned the studio that was painting, he would tap me on my shoulder. He's like, it's 9 o'clock at night. We're closing the doors. You're the last one here. And you're in the zone. I'm not even paying attention. I'm like, what do you mean? I was here for 6 hours, just nonstop painting without realizing it. So completely understand
Yeah.
exactly what you mean by that, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, how do you measure success? Is there such a thing in your universe?
Yeah. I don't even understand what is a success. I don't have a definition for it. I think it's such a big word that it's like a formula with so many factors in it. I don't even consider myself as a not successful, but I don't even think about that. What is it? What is a success? I don't even know what does that mean?
I don't know. It's a different definition for different people. Like for some people, it could be, you know what? I have love in my life. I have a roof over my head. I have my health. I'm a success. So I don't know. Other people have different definitions. I have to have X amount of money in the bank, or I have to drive a certain car. So I don't know. I ask people this question, and it's interesting because it's exactly that. So when you're seeking success and you're seeking this is what you set out to do, the success is fleeting. That means you never actually reach what it is you're seeking. If you set yourself that my goal is to have a journey where along the way I'm receiving love, I'm giving it to the universe, and that's it, and that's my journey, then happiness becomes part of that journey until you reach your next, sort of stop in that, and then you move on to the next one as you're going through, your goals in life.
No, yeah, I get it. I don't think about that. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on plant medicine?
Um, Only lately, I I started to think about that. I realized that I have a very spiritually attraction that sometimes that I cannot even expand to certain things. It's very personal, and I started to ask questions lately, and I usually don't ask questions. I'm a very grounded person who understands reality and spirituality, and I'm a God believer. Um, but lately, I started to ask questions about certain things that happening, and I wanted to find I don't know if an answer, not even an answer, just um, a reason for certain things. And I think a plant medicine is something that was hiding from us. I truly believe that there's something in plant medicine that I truly believe we don't even know like a percent of it. And it's not known out there, and we should investigate it on ourselves. As in my personal experience, I'm planning on investigating this, uh, um, especially because it's not conventional, especially because it's been hidden, especially because it comes from at different places that are not around us here in Los Angeles. Um, I have a big belief that if someone tried to hide it, I guess there was something very interesting in it. So um, I have a feeling that um, there is something around us that can help us a lot, physically and mentally, that we should try on. And there is a whole world in plant medicine out there that a lot of people, some people are very into it and they're investigating a lot. Um, I'm not that experienced yet, but I'm all about experiencing and trying, and even on myself. So I'm very, very open to it.
Yeah, and so my company, we work with a lot of veterans too. We're in the middle of a bunch of clinical trials, and I have a genetics company. We do DNA testing, but for PTSD specifically, and we've worked with a lot of veterans on different types of you know psychedelic or plant medicine experiences. Even cannabis to me is a psychedelic in a way, but psilocybin, ibogaine. So I have a friend of mine who was a medic for SEAL Team 6, and they had pulled the some of their guys out. When they were pulling the soldiers out, they left them behind in Afghanistan. They pulled them out through private missions, and during COVID, 13 of them committed suicide. And so it was like a crisis because, I mean, you're now in your house with your thoughts. There's nothing else you can do. So you kind of trigger those depressive states and all that stuff. So it was so we sort of all started calling each other and trying to help these men with psychedelics, and from that time that we did, we haven't lost one. So it all depends on what connects with you. There's so many different things. And look, the Amazon probably has, cures for most of the diseases or conditions that we have. There are untapped resources in the plant. So I agree with you. There's so much opportunity for us to explore that further.
Look, when veterans and different veterans or different experiences in life, when you experiencing a very harsh military operation and you start to lose your friends around you, most people will never be the same people. Now, when this situation is over, you're done, and you're back home, how do you combine? Because you're always gonna be there. You're always there. And last night I've met one that uh, she's a psychotherapist, and we're just talking, and she's like, Tomer, you're still there, right? And we're like, of course I know. We are all still there. A lot of veterans, we are still there mentally. Now the question is, how can we live life, a normal life here in Los Angeles, but if mentally we are still there? And what I was seeking is, how can I make the bridge together? How can I call it like it's like you have a gorilla on top of you that is growing, right? How can I shake the gorilla hand and start to hug it and say, you know what, this mental gorilla that is growing on me is part of my life, and how can I manage now a new life with kids and family and friends that didn't go through what I went through, but how can I integrate in between those two worlds? So I believe that there is different answers in plant medicines that helps you to to love your life and to hug it and to live with peace, in peace with the fact that mentally you're there. So I'm not trying to pull out of myself from there. I'm just trying to live in peace with this fact. So and this is what I'm seeking. This is my you asked me about success before. It's not even in my thoughts. I'm thinking, how can I even manage normal life, not even healthy, not even a life. How can I not be judged by my kids and people who are watching me and talking to me when I get a trigger? You know what I'm saying? And how can I get a
Absolutely.
trigger and deal with that with myself and not get arrested out there? How can I go to the studio and create and bring money home? Like,
Yeah.
this is my daily thoughts. Like, it's day to day. How can you manage the fact that you're still in this event from 20 years ago or from October 7th? And how can you bring that and integrate it to the life of right now? Now, there's a lot of suicides right now also in Israel. A lot of soldiers, a lot of survivors. It's because they're not able to integrate that life right now with what they went through, because mentally they're still there. And I know mentally I'm still there, but I'm practicing and trying every day to manage it with the reality of now. And I even tattoo a bunch of my spots on my body the word now, just to remember that I'm here now, I'm not there. But this is if we talk about success, if I went through a day and I didn't fuck up big time that day because of my money somewhere else, I take it as a day by day, and I succeed that today. And I don't even think about a big success in life. I don't have a big success in life. I have a big success at the end of this day only. And whatever gonna happen tomorrow, gonna happen tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that, because also giving yourself love, and I think maybe trying to do better tomorrow than you did today without being hard on yourself for maybe having a difficult day. So treating yourself, I look at it this way, and I went through different things in my life too, and I concur with some of the things that you're saying, but it's also being able to treat yourself as you would your very best friend in the world. So I catch myself sometimes having that conversation with myself where I'm being self-critical, judgmental, all these different things. And I catch myself, the person I love in my life, the person's closest to me, would I talk to them like that? Why am I talking to me like that? I have to show myself some love and compassion also. So I think just catching yourself, starting with that. But as you said, it's one day at a time. That's
Yeah,
really the
I
journey.
really agree with you. I think it's the um like being good to yourself first of all, like to have peace with yourself. I think that's the first step, and not going hard on yourself. That's the first step of this healing part. Once you um, um, you know, um, can be okay with your mistakes, and you know, and not live with so many regrets and be upset with yourself about every stupid move you're doing. This is the first part of live with peace with
Yeah.
yourself. Yeah, totally agree with you.
So what's the next big project that you're working on right now?
So I'm working right now as we speak. I'm in the middle of the eighth campaign. Eight is my foundation. Is a nonprofit organization I opened a few months ago, and the organization is specialized with working in groups and individual, and open have a safe space right here behind me. It's the studio where I host a lot of people who got affected by this work, as far as PTSD or just in a trauma level, or just affected by these wars somehow. And I give them a safe space to work at. And I have groups on daily and weekly basis. I'm not a therapist and I'm not a healer, but I'm one of those who has an amazing channeling with these people who went through something, because we talk like same eye level. And this place is amazing because it encourages people to create about that. So, or I make them create my awareness project, or I create with them their own project. So there's a bunch of different programs. And now the eighth campaign is the launch of this campaign is all about eight American hostages that are still held in Gaza. Um, and the eighth campaign is basically as an awareness campaign, is art campaign that is supposed to trick people's mind and curiosity. It's a campaign that doesn't give all the information, that makes people ask questions. There's a lot of different art installations around the city that is happening now. A lot of street art. It's a guerrilla campaign, pretty much. Murals, and every day I'm installing different art installation on a different building. Yeah, yesterday we installed huge art installation on a 20 stories high rise building in downtown Los Angeles. And every day we have something else. I have an amazing team. I created this campaign with the founders of the group Free Our Hostages. Angelica and Andrea, they're an amazing team. They're creating all this with me, this campaign. And the goal basically is to create awareness and tell the American people there's 8 American hostages in Gaza. So if you guys didn't know, so let's talk about that. Let's create a conversation about that, and that's what the campaign is about. And that's my main thing. Now, this campaign has different steps. I'm on step number 1 right now, level number 1, and I can't wait to get into the second one, which I hope is going to be next week. There is already a plan of 5 different steps for this campaign, and very, very exciting to see people reactions to it. It's coming out now, like those days will come out.
Amazing. Yeah, it's so wild to me that we have 8 American hostages, and for the years, we've always said we will give up anything. We are negotiating, but we will give up anything to bring hostages home, and we're not.
Nothing is happening from there's like they're still there, right?
Yeah.
Like I can say nothing is happening. Maybe something is happening, but hey, it's been almost 10 months and they're still there. And people don't know. Like I work at the street, like I paint on the street, I create on the streets, I work with a lot of people. I can tell that most Americans don't even know that.
Yeah.
That's very depressing. That's like very hard to understand how come.
Well, you're making the impact, at the very least, making people aware, and awareness, is the first step. And hopefully we can get a lot more people. There's an election that's coming up. Maybe that's something for us to be aware of during the election when we go to the polls, to see what's happening now and what we would like to have happen. I'm going to switch gears for a second and ask you some music questions. I'm a big fan of music. So do you remember the very first concert that you ever attended?
No.
Is there one that jumps out when you were young? One?
Yeah. Some Israeli bands.
Yeah.
We went to watch them. It was cool. Yeah, but nothing too crazy.
What about the last concert? And I know it's
Last
been a
concert,
while.
I was at the Cure.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to the Cure in the Hollywood Bowl.
Yeah.
One of the bass player daughter, she's a good friend, so which is there. But I love music. I don't really go to concerts a lot. Yeah, I don't really go a lot of concerts, fortunately.
All right. So another music question. For the next year, you could only listen to 5 albums. Now, you don't have to name the name of the album. You can say a Cure album or whatever. What would be those 5 albums that you would listen to?
Metallica. I gotta pick something electronic. I'm not sure which one is it. Wow, there's few. Like rock, maybe some Middle Eastern. I would say 3 out of the 5 would be rock. Metallica, maybe Radiohead. No pop at all. I don't listen to pop music. Maybe some Middle Eastern. Because I'm those who listen to a bunch of different playlists, a bunch of different music, and maybe electronic, Middle Eastern, but mostly rock music.
Yeah.
That's most of my thing. But beside electronic rock, yeah.
Cool.
My
All right.
Metallica was my favorite. Metallica. I
Oh,
can listen
yeah.
to Metallica like all day, every day.
Yeah, I went to see, they have a benefit
I went to
concert.
see Metallica. Oh,
You went to see what?
I went to see Metallica. Maybe what was it, 2 years ago?
Oh, the 72 season tour
No,
at
yeah.
SoFi?
No, I went to it was in Vegas.
Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah, they have a concert that's coming up here. They do a benefit every year, I think it's at YouTube this year or something like that, but really expensive tickets for that. But I saw them, the 72 season tour was SoFi on a Friday, and it's 2 nights. And I saw them at Power Trip, Coachella, which was 115 degrees, but it was like an amazing show. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
All right, so I have a final question for you, bonus question. Please describe what your room looked like growing up.
What age?
Your choice, whatever you want to describe that be interesting.
A teenager. I'll take a teenager. I had a bar in my room as a teenager. We were drinking alcohol at an early age, like 16, 17 already. It was kind of normal. Not that much. But at a bar, I had a big painting of a Pegasus. It was like a horse with someone riding on a horse, which, you know, I painted this, and I had a bed. It was like a teenager bed size, kind of, you know. I had my closet, you know, there. I had a little balcony. I used to smoke cigarettes when I hid it from my parents, so I used to log the balcony, smoke cigarettes, you know, the back. And I had a wood floor. I remember I convinced my parents to replace the carpet to a wood floor, so I was the only one who had a floor in my bedroom. What else? The door was always locked, bro. It was always locked.
I feel it. Any posters on the wall or anything like that besides your art?
No posters, just my art. I never had like, I was never like fan of someone. Yeah, just my art, just my paintings. Yeah.
Awesome, cool. Hey, Tomer, where can people engage with you, with your art, make any contributions or anything that you want to share?
My website, tomerperetz.com. And social media, Instagram mostly. I don't really do the other stuff a lot. Yeah, Instagram and my website are the two biggest channels to see my work.
Got it. And for my audience, once again, I want to thank you for listening to the entire show. Hopefully it was illuminating, and thank you again for the wonderful reviews. I'm always like so grateful to see the 5-star reviews and the comments that people post. So even if they're 2-star reviews, whatever it is, send that. It'll give me a chance to improve and work on myself. So I'm open to everything. Just keep listening and keep watching and giving your comments. So, and I appreciate it. Hey, brother, listen, I really appreciate all the work that you're doing. You put yourself out there, and I think you're serving with purpose, whether you get that feedback or not. I just want to let you know that it's seen, it's heard, and it's truly appreciated. So I want to thank you so much for being on and for doing everything you do.
Thank you so much for the kind words. Thank you so much for the platform and for being interested in what I do, bro. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much.
Cool. All right,
Pleasure
man.
talking to you.
Likewise.
All right.